Right, today we're diving into the paradox of Samson. Now, his legacy, it's not just about that superhuman strength you've heard about. It's a real puzzle, one that makes you question what it even means to be a hero. So let's just get right to the heart of it. How can one guy be the celebrated hero of faith, but at the very same time be looked at as a failed leader? I mean, those two things sound like they can't exist together, right? That's the core question we're going to dig into today. Okay, so to really get our heads around this, we've got to look at both sides of the coin. Let's start with a big one, the case for Samson being this undeniable figure of faith.
And this right here is probably the biggest piece of evidence for the hero side of the argument. It's not just some interpretation, it's written right there in Hebrews 11:32. He's listed among the heroes of faith. Think about that. Despite all his personal failures, all his pretty obvious character flaws, he's on that list. That alone kind of forces you to step back and rethink everything.
And you can really see that tension laid out here. On one hand, you have this figure of faith, pulling down temples through divine strength. But then you have the other side of the story, the flawed deliverer, totally brought down by his own weaknesses. How on earth can both of these be the same man? It just doesn't seem to add up. All right, so now let's flip the script and look at the other side of the argument. Why, with his name on that list of heroes, is there still such a compelling case for Samson being, well, a failure? This is really the heart of it. His failure wasn't about losing a fight or not being strong enough. It was about the mission itself. His entire purpose was to deliver Israel from its oppressors. But the text is really specific here. It says he only began to do it. He started the job, but he never actually finished it. He left the work incomplete. Yeah, and this table really breaks it down perfectly, doesn't it? In the success column, you see he was an amazing troubler of the Philistines. He was a master of disruption. But then you look over at the failure column, a failure as a leader/savior. Why? Because he never got Israel all the way to the finish line. He won some incredible battles, for sure, but at the end of the day, he didn't win the war. So that brings us to the million-dollar question, right? How do we make sense of all this? How can he be both a success and a failure? Well, the source material suggests the answer isn't about picking a side. It's about digging deeper and understanding the incredible lessons his life teaches us. So how do we unlock this paradox? It really comes down to three key ideas: character over gifts, strength in weakness, and something called an unstoppable plan. Let's break each one of these down. Okay, lesson number one. Gifts are not a substitute for character. And wow, is Samson the poster child for this one? He had this mind-blowing supernatural gift of strength, but he just didn't have the character to handle it, to steward it righteously. His story is just this huge, powerful cautionary tale. You can have all the talent in the world, but without character, it can all fall apart. Now, the second key is beautifully ironic: finding strength in weakness. I mean, think about it. When was Samson really at his most powerful? It wasn't when he was tearing down city gates. It was right here, at his absolute weakest moment. Blind, powerless in a Philistine prison. It was only when his own strength was totally gone that he showed true reliance on God. And that moment of total weakness led to his single most impactful act. And this third and final key kind of zooms all the way out to the biggest picture possible. The idea is that God's overarching plan can move forward despite the mess-ups of the people involved. In other words, even Samson's huge moral and strategic failures didn't stop the story. They were somehow still part of a larger plan that was going to be accomplished, whether he was perfect or not. So, let's pull all these threads together. What does this ancient story about a very complicated hero actually mean for us today? Why are we still talking about him thousands of years later? While the lessons from Samson's paradox are pretty timeless, aren't they? First, having natural gifts and talents is great, but they need strong character to guide them. Second, sometimes our weakest moments can become the source of our truest strength and reliance. And finally, there's this comforting idea that a greater purpose can still be at work, even through all of our human imperfections. And all of this leaves us with one last big idea to chew on. Samson's story really makes you ask, what is the true measure of a legacy? Is it our good intentions? Is it the sum of all our actions, the good and the bad? Or is it the final, ultimate impact we have on the world, even if it happens in ways we could never have seen coming?